You are live.
Hey,
Hi, Sarah.
hi Donna. Thank you for
How are
having
you
me.
today?
I'm
Yes.
good. How are you?
Let's see in the chat who is with us today. Hopefully, some of you are joining us today as well. Very, very excited to be here. Very excited to have Sarah with me. So
Yeah,
please,
we're taking
please,
one of our conversations live, right?
yes, drop a
Already
note.
this-
Drop a note in the chat so we can see you're with us. Let's check on our other devices to see if the session is live. So far, no pings.
No. Oh, I just saw 4 seconds ago, join Donna Rollinger's live video event.
So I hope somebody can comment that we are live, that all the tech gods are with us today. I've seen it all, so let's see.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sure about us, but are we sure about the tech?
Well, I mean, we can still have a great conversation, but that would be really nice if people could join us.
Yeah, would be lovely.
There you go. Somebody says hello from Basel. That's lovely. I hope
Oh,
Basel is having as great weather as Zurich today. And Argo is here, France, Paris,
oh,
Marseille, and Aga says we're live. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Really happy to see this is working. Really happy to have you all here. Equally as happy for those that will be watching a recording of this, and we can finally kick it off. So,
yes.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today. We have a big, big job ahead of us. We have a heavy lift topic, I like to call it today, and let's attempt to scratch a surface at it. I definitely have a lot to say and think about this topic. I have made a fair share of experiences and lived through others' experiences to have somewhat an opinion. But I wanted you to join me today, and I would love you maybe give us a little bit of a 3 second intro on what your background is, and then I would love you to kick us off to share why did you feel it was important for you to join me on this really big topic and share your story, even though it's obviously not the most fun topic to a certain extent, and why is it personal for you?
Yeah, thank you, Dana. And yeah, maybe just a little background for me, for those of you that haven't met me. So I am South African. I've lived 25 years in Switzerland. I've led change at all different levels, from big companies to startups. Uh, and I'm also the founder of Parents at Work, which is supporting parents through this transition to working parent. Um, and yeah, that's a little bit about me. But if I could tell you, you asked me why would I want to share, and I mean it's obviously a very personal topic to me because I've actually just gone through the process of being made redundant, and I have been through the process so many times in a company where it was a discussion. I always thought, maybe I will be next, and I never was. And this was the first time that actually I was made redundant personally. Um, And I want to tell you a little story around it really quickly. So, a week before I was made redundant, I was at a Spoogler event, which is the spouses of Google. I was invited to speak to them, and they are obviously all looking for work. They've moved to a new country, and I was speaking to them. Sharing with them my process of my road back to corporate, how I'd got my job after I'd been working for myself, and like kind of the tips and tricks and advice. And you know what I thought is like, 1 minute you're the the expert, well, not the expert, but the person from the other side sharing your experiences. The next minute you're like one of them, you know, and you're out of a role yourself, right? It happens so fast like that. And I was just thinking, what can I do, right? So I could, you know, I could hang my head, I could hide, um, you know, and I've done a bit of that, to be honest, right? But maybe now I can share my story and maybe it helps somebody to not feel alone, or it gives somebody an inspiration, or like, oh, that's the first step I needed. Let me go and do that. Because I know that lots of people are going through this right now as well. And it felt really important for me. And maybe I should say as a disclaimer, I have not worked my way through everything yet. I'm in the process, right? Like talking with you today is part of that process. But yeah, maybe it can help somebody, you know. And you don't always have to have all the answers to be able to support somebody. So I'm really glad to be
Absolutely.
here.
Yes, and I'll take a chance to invite the audience. Please do participate with us. Share your stories, share your questions, reflections. Please disagree with us. We are very, very open to that. Like Sarah said, we don't have all the answers. We have plenty of stories, we have plenty of experience, but there will not be two of the same kind of experience, because depending on the journey you've had, depending on the situation, depending on so many things, it will always be different. And and I'm confident, Sarah, that for you as well, it was not the same. You know, you've lived this twice, and both were very different times. What was different for you? How does it vary?
I mean, well, some of the things, well, one of the things was like, because I'd gone through the process of stepping away from my company full time and going back to corporate. And then I was like, now I'm out of corporate, thinking about what do I do next, right? And the one thing for me this time, which wasn't there 2 years ago, was like, I've been through it now. So I have resilience. I know that this will land somewhere that will be good, right?
Mm,
And so that's a difference for me. Um, a little bit of frustration this time around, like, I'm here again. Like, really? I did all the hard work. Now I have to do it again, you know.
yeah.
And also, but also like thinking this time, be intentional to make the most of this time, right? Like, I have time now to redirect, to think about what is my direction, what do I want to do, where do I want to go, um and appreciate that, and not just be like frustrated and angry and struggling, and you know. So I think also just choosing how I'm going to feel is maybe a little bit different how I'm doing it this time. So I mean, those are a few differences. But
Yeah.
the one thing is, like, I'd seen it. I knew it was coming 2 years ago. This time was a surprise. So, so there's
Mm,
the shock element, right? So,
yeah. Sarah, if we step 3 steps back,
yeah,
and zoom out a little bit, to think and maybe see what we're thinking, because what we came here to talk about was really
yeah,
this position where we merge ourselves with our jobs. And I'll be the first one to say, I've had a very
yeah,
serious addiction to work, to my professional identity, to being seen and valued as a professional. Um, it's still important to me. I mean, absolutely, very, very openly, I can share that it is important for me
Yeah.
because of several reasons. I love what I do. I'm
Mm.
proud of the work that I do. I hear time and time again that people see great value added by the work and by my experience and skills and ability to guide, support, advise, coach. Um, and so obviously this is a very big part of me.
Mm.
However, there is so much research out there that proves why it's actually not healthy, both for you as a person, but also as a professional to have that,
Yeah.
right? So
But I
let
mean,
me
I
finish. Let
wanted
me
to ask
finish.
you, like, how do you know? Because when I lost my job, I didn't realize how tightly I was identified to my job and what a shock
It's
it was to
hard.
lose it until I'd
Yeah.
lost it. And so I was
Yes.
like, so Dana, I mean, have you ever noticed when you've been too close? I mean, how were you even aware of that?
Yes. You know when was the biggest wake up call for me?
Mm.
I took a summer break. You know, kids have holidays for school in summer, and I took a summer break. It took me 10 days to unplug. That's pretty much the holiday was over, right? I mean, okay,
I was
luckily
like,
we had
how long was your holiday?
two,
Because
2 weeks. The holiday was 2 weeks. It took me 10 days to switch off my brain. I caught myself almost every day thinking about work, about, did I hand over? What happened there? And for me, I don't log back in. Like, no, when I go on holiday, I go on holiday. So I
yeah,
hand everything over. I ensure that the things are taken care of in my absence. So I realized that I've become so absorbed in my work that
yeah,
I could not enjoy and live the life outside of work. And I was like, this is a serious problem. This is not about a wasted holiday. This is about I just have become my work,
yeah,
and this is bad for everything. I realize that I don't get any more new ideas. I don't have the same joy at work, and there's just so many things that happen to you when you lose yourself, really. And and so I'm curious, Sarah, what when you lose the job, what else do you lose? How does that link?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was thinking about it, like, what do you lose, right? So first of all, the first thing you lose is you lose your to-do list. And this was like the funniest thing because I don't know about you, but I like walk around with this huge notebook full of to-do lists, right? And sometimes I feel like it's overwhelming because I'm like, oh, I've got to do these things today. I've got to do certain things this week, this month, this year. Like, and if I don't do them, the world will come to an end. And it becomes so overwhelming that I can't switch off, right? Because I'm so dragged in. And what I realized is you can go in one morning with a bag full of to-dos and you can go home that afternoon and you have no more to dos. And it is like, and it was, yeah, I don't know, it was the strangest experience of my life, right? So that's one thing I lost. I lost my to dos. But then I also lost like my routine. So like I know that like Sunday nights I have to get to bed early. I've got a 6 o'clock wake up. I need to make sure that the kids have like lunches because I'm going into the office. Have I organized about the dog? I've got like all this routine and like I hardly have a moment to sit down and think. And suddenly now my routine is gone. And I'm like, what do I do with my days? And I think this was a struggle for me was like, how do I get motivated? How do I do some good things, right? Instead of just doing nothing because now I don't have to. Um, and then also like another thing that I lost that hurt me like quite a lot was also the community because you think like, well, all those colleagues, sometimes you can like kill some of them, but these are the people that you see more than like you see your family, but you see your colleagues a lot, right? I mean, who has the time for like a full-time job and a full family and then a whole bunch of people on the side? So these are the friends, the people I was having lunch with, the coffee breaks we were taking, you know, they understood my situation, I knew theirs, and you know, you stay in contact, but to be honest, you lose the community as well. So you're grieving maybe those things, but you're also grieving this loss of purpose, because with the to-do list, you also feel like I have important things to do, right? People are waiting for things for me. You know, my work is anywhere around inclusion and that kind of thing, and so I feel very like meaningful about my work, very connected to my work. And so yeah, and so you're just like, you're just at a loose end. You know, the thing is, Donna, I was thinking like, you know, I'm founder of Parents at Work. I know that there's more to life than work, right? We have families, obligations, you know, responsibilities, surely like work. And that's why I was so surprised that I was so impacted by this loss of identity, by losing the work, right? I didn't expect it to be like that for me. But you know, like, your family have also got their routine and they've got their things going on. My kids are going to school and they've got sports and boyfriends, and my husband's got his job and he's also going out for, you know, drinks after work with somebody. And so you can't just suddenly now expect your family to be there 24/7, you know. So it was a big shock. I felt like really at a loose end, and yeah, in the beginning. And you have to give it time to grieve. You can't just expect it to go past like that. That's for sure not.
Yeah, absolutely. Imane in a comment says that I did not appreciate how much work was part of my identity until I was dismissed.
Yeah, it was the same for me. Exactly. Like you think like, oh, the work, and you know, take it or leave it, and then suddenly it's gone, and then you're like, oh, I just have like a hole in me, you know. I'm just at a loose end. I don't even know what to do with my day, you know. Well, I mean, it gets better, but the first weeks you need to be gentle with yourself, because it's quite shocking, you know.
And this is exactly what she says. She's like, do not jump into job search right away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do you do then? What's
What are you doing?
What do you do? I mean, obviously, like you said, be gentle to yourself. Take your time, right? Grieve, treat yourself. You know, obviously, I mean, from my perspective, I would absolutely love to close down the chapter, right? Don't leave it hanging. Don't go, oh, you know, well, fine, then I'm gone. And you know, for me, I personally feel that it's really important to, you know, keep the bridges and get all the feedback that you can, obviously.
Yeah.
See what you can learn from this, and then what?
Yeah. I mean, so so I definitely think there's like this, and for me it took like at least 2 months where I was not really ready. I was just sort of catching up on things at home and taking time for myself, taking back control of things that I could do, like getting my sleep organized again, um, you know, taking care of myself and that kind of thing. But actually, what started to shift things was when I started going out and talking to people. And you know, then like just how generous people are, it just like restores my faith in humanity, because like we had a conversation and you said, oh, let's do a real bridge together, and I was like, wow, she's just so supportive. And I had, right in the beginning, a colleague actually reached out to me and he said, you know, his daughter's trying to get an internship at SIX, could I help? And I was like, no, I'm afraid I can't, I've actually just been let go. And then he said, oh, apply for this role and look at, you know, at our company and I will refer you. And he went directly to the head of HR. I mean, it didn't work out, it was maybe a bit early for me as well, but like people really want to help. And so you talk to them and you ask them like, where do you see my strengths, you know, what would you recommend, like how did you go through it? Like it really helps to talk to other people, and people will make time for you during this time. It's just like that, like was, I think, where I started, right? But then you know what? Yeah, tell me. Yeah, sorry.
But could it be, and now I'm just you know,
Yeah,
assuming things, but could it
yeah,
be that you actually built that network when you were happily, employed and busy and with your routine and schedules, and you invested in other people, you gave a
Mm.
hand when you could, you offered your time and support, and built this network.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, with my business and everything that I've done, I'm always, of course, thinking about how I can support other people, and you don't expect anything back, but people do give back, and that, I think that, especially when you needed, and there was no like agreement that would happen, and yet they do, and maybe not even the ones that you helped, but somebody else who saw that and wants to return, so I think there's I think that's really amazing, and I think you can't underestimate the value of a network and of staying in touch with people. Um, I think that's really important. So many people I speak to end up getting let go, and they have not built their network, and they have not nurtured that visibility and stayed in contact. Um, and I think it's much harder to start from that place. So I would even say, for people who are in jobs and who are not expecting to leave and are wanting to stay, I still think it's so important to build your visibility and build your network. Don't wait until like something happens, because that was the network that helped me to shift into a positive place, right?
Mm.
And I mean, like you, Donna, you have a big network, and you invest in people, and in addition to the work that you do, without any clear I mean, how do you make time for it with the busy
I'm a
schedule and
strange one.
family?
I'm a really strange one. I genuinely love people. That's just who I am. I really, really love people, and I've been at the receiving end of so
Mm.
much kindness. Way, way back when I tried to re-enter work after the maternity break that I took. It's middle
Mm.
of pandemic. I couldn't even meet anyone for coffee if I wanted to. And I was looking for work, and it was so hard. It was so, so hard. So when I finally, after a long and painful job search, got into a position to talk to people who were looking for a job, I took it my personal mission to pay forward and to support and to share what I know, and give advice. So that was just my way of giving back. And now it's been 5 rich years, and I feel that I need to continue doing what I'm doing
Yeah.
because of, like you said, one day you're in a great position, but tomorrow you don't know where you're gonna
Yeah.
wake up to, right? So that also is these days absolutely none of us can know for sure.
There's no
um
certainty, right?
and there's
But,
so much change around that.
yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's not like you do it as an investment in the, as an insurance. And what I love, what you say, is you do it because of your own experience and the challenges you face. And like I've used those as well. Like my experience of becoming a mom and coming back as a mom was what helped me to found Parents at Work. And you do this because of the challenge, how difficult it was, and you give back, right? Yeah, I love that. That's really
There
great.
was a lady that commented, when we announced this conversation. There was a lady who
Yeah.
commented and who said that she um, had a child, lost her job, and tried to figure out, who is she? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what job do I want to go back to? Who am I? And I think that is the hardest combo. Honestly, that is the hardest combo, because even people who are very secure and stable in their jobs, when you become a parent, your identity, and I don't know about you, but for me, uh, I lost it entirely. Of course, I was on an extended leave. I had two kids, one after the other, so I had
Yeah.
no breather whatsoever. So after I started kind of coming up for air, I was like, but the world's changed. Now we're in the middle of pandemic. I am not the same person that I used to be. What do I even know? Like, what am I even good at what I do?
Have I
And
got
and
something to even offer, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like, does
yeah.
anyone would ever remotely consider me for any job? At some point I started applying for reception jobs, and I was like, maybe I would be a half decent receptionist. But obviously I was not considered because even the one process that I went till the end, they said, no, you're just overqualified.
But the thing is, like the parent, the transition to a parent, I think that was like that's huge identity crisis because you lose who you are. And then in the beginning, you're like fighting to go back. How am I going to find myself, go back to who I was again? When will this happen? Until you realize you're never actually going to go back to who you were. You can only go forward back towards who you will be. Um, but that process is like, yeah, a rite of passage, I think, that every parent has to go through, right? I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was just
how
thinking,
how do you
yeah.
rebuild it? And maybe that's what you just said. You don't rebuild it. You just continue the journey and find a new route. Or is there a way to rebuild it?
Well, I mean, I think with the parent topic, that's a whole different story because then you have too many stakeholders. But if we can just, I mean, like, can I share with you like what I've been doing that's helping me identify?
Yeah.
Because I have done a lot of different work, and I've worked in corporate, and I've worked in startups, and I've worked in sales, and like I could do a lot of things. What am I going to do going forward, right? And so this has been the topic that has sat with me, right? How do I go forward? What do I want to do? What would somebody hire me or pay money for me to do, right? Um, and so I've been having these conversations, right, which I have found really helpful. And the funny thing is, it's all different. Like some people see me in corporate, and some people say work for yourself, and so it can get a bit like confusing as well to think like, well, one day I think it's this and I'm that, then this is all these contradictions, and um, but what I have been doing is just holding it all, and just being okay with the contradictions, but getting all the inputs and trying them on and thinking for a couple of days, how do I feel in this role? How do I feel? Like really just like taking time to think. So I've been doing that a lot. But I actually did quite a fun process that I want to share with you. And I don't know if it's like an but so what I did was I took Claude on my phone, right?
Hmm.
And you can use the voice. You can talk for 10 minutes and it transfers it all to text, right? And I put in about 5 or 6 projects or work or programs that I'd run, that I'd implemented, work that I was responsible for. I took 10 minutes for each one. So it really took me like a whole day. And I just like told the whole story, what the work was, what the outcome was, what the challenges were, what I contributed, what I love to do, you know. And then I asked Claude to come back and give me some patterns, and where does it see my strengths as well. It
Hmm.
was really interesting. I mean, I can't say they gave me the perfect answers, but that was also a place where I felt like we can also really bomb in all our ideas and sometimes get to see the patterns, like, this is really where I am helping. These are the things. And you can just ask for more patterns and ask for more. But it was also quite a fun process. And I've been using people, but I've been using AI as well to help me do my identity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
I find that a really, really great way. And then you could ask so many other things. What could I add, to complement my
Yes.
profile?
Yes.
What skills could I add? Could I do a course, or can I do some further education? Or
Yeah.
what would be a logical next step in my career to kind of
Exactly.
continue doing more of this and less of that.
Yeah.
I think
I love
there's a lot of potential there.
right. And and you know, so I've worked a lot with change, right? Whether I've been working with parents who've been in this transition, or if I'm working with corporations, like when I was at Siemens, I helped like the shift towards a service culture, or you know, even like with the restructuring, you know, at Six, I was training line managers how to, you know, how to lead during change. So I was thinking, I'm always working with change, and then what is the big change topics now? And like the one came up like AI, and then AI even put like a whole training program for me together. You know, where are the things that I should learn that would be helpful. Obviously, I'm not a technical focused person. I'm people focused person, but to have that background, put a training together with links of like online free courses that I could go to. You know, so and that is something that can help you find your routine, and it costs nothing, right? And it's just yeah.
You know what else I heard recently? I haven't
Yeah.
tried it yet, but I thought it was a really interesting idea that you can
Yeah.
download all your connections list on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and upload it into Claude and ask it to recommend who would be the potentially interesting connections for you to reach out to discuss certain things. And right, I was like, that's an interesting approach. I mean, especially for someone, you know, sometimes you lose track of who you're connected with and who
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes people move companies that you don't even follow. I thought it was an interesting approach to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely got the task of auditing my network, and what am I looking for, and which kind of people, and how could they support me. So there's people that I could sell a program to, there's people that could make introductions for me, there are people that could share their experiences with me that I could learn from. And so I had a couple of buckets, and I actually was going through, you know, and for anybody in my network that you haven't got bombed yet by me, I'm still in the audit process. I haven't really got out. I think this is the biggest challenge, is how to get them from the thinking process from to actually start taking actions. Because Donna, I mean, the biggest challenge for me with being let go is, for instance, number one, the shame. And there's like so much shame around it. um and you know, I even get emotional when I talk about it, because like you feel like you're investing so much in your work and you care about it and you see it being successful, and then suddenly you let go and you let free, and and then you keep thinking like, did I not do a good enough job? Or and then I can say, I know I did a good job, I'm proud of my work, but other people will maybe think that I didn't do a good enough job, because
Yeah,
why am I let go, right? And
yeah.
so there's so much shame around it, and you want to keep it a secret. And it's like, how do I get into this next step where then I actually start telling people? So thank you for giving me the process now to tell it to LinkedIn on a broad scale. So but then
That's
there's also,
quite a platform to announce it, Sarah.
I was like, I need to do something
But
about
this
this
is
shame,
but
because
this is
shame kept
by
in the dark is the
it
worst thing that you
is.
can do, right?
It absolutely is. And those of us who live in our heads, we absolutely overthink it. And this is not unique. Let me tell you that this is absolutely standard that I hear over and over and over again from people who have been impacted. And we all know that there is reorg on top of a reorg, and there's a budget cuts, and there's, you know,
Mm.
nine out of 10 times, you know, people lose their jobs for no fault of their own. Sometimes they lose because, you know, they're on the highest payroll. Sometimes they lose because they're in the wrong location in the team. Sometimes they lose their jobs because out of five, only three could keep their jobs. Sometimes, you know, there
Change in
could be
strategy, you know, last
100
in,
million
first
reasons.
out, 100 reasons. But it doesn't. The thing is that these feelings are not logical, rational. They're just there. And what I love about Brene Brown is she always says, like, you know, like shame only like survives in the dark, you know. And so if you shine the light on it, then it comes out, you know. So, but I mean, yeah, it did take me a little while to get here as well. So, I mean, you know, so if you're going through it right now, don't be hard on yourself and say, I need to do a LinkedIn live too now about it. But you're going to get a whole list of applications done.
Well, LinkedIn is absolutely a good place to put it out
Yeah,
there, but also I think community is a really underestimated value whenever you go through job search. Regardless of what happened to the job,
yeah,
I find that, but in fact, anything hard in your life is much easier when you have people around you who are
yeah,
either in a similar situation or there to support you, to give you advice, who've been through that, or who can relate to that. I find that every little win needs to be celebrated. I think every little struggle needs to be shared, and
yeah,
it makes a huge difference.
yeah.
Then there is no place for shame
No,
or fear or any sort of other monster, because you are just going through a process.
yeah, no, exactly. And I think reaching out to community has been the first thing that I did, and has helped me the most. Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
It was an interesting comment. Let me scroll back. Someone said, is the classical career a little bit outdated, and shouldn't we be looking for portfolio jobs? And I know it's very trendy these days. We're all going to be independent consultants, and what are your thoughts about this, Sarah? Because you again, you've run your own company, you've been in corporate, you've done a lot of public speaking and trainings and change management and leadership. What's your take on portfolio careers?
So I think it's not necessarily for everyone because there's a lot of like, and I hate to use this word, but like hustling, right? Um, and sales. And so I'm a salesperson. So I'm an anomaly. I'm an HR salesperson. This is not usually the combination profile. Now, I love to do sales, and that means going out to networking events with your glass of wine and you go to speak to people you don't know to share with them why you could create some value for them. I mean, this is like, and I think you have to do that consistently to fill the pipeline. Because I think a lot of people dream about it. Oh, it would be so nice. I could spend some days of my month delivering workshops, and I could do a little bit of coaching, and maybe I'll work as a consultant, and that is beautiful, right? And you're your own boss, and you can take your days off, but you have to fill the pipeline. And I think it is maybe one of the reasons why I stepped back into corporate for a while,
Hmm.
because of that constant stress of filling the pipeline. Um, and I'm right now at the process of thinking, how can I be more efficient maybe in filling the pipeline? And if I work that out, I'll be sure to let you all know. But yeah, I think a portfolio career though is maybe where we're going. I heard something, I read something the other day, which I thought was really fantastic, which was with this AI, when we can see 30 years in the future, we build skyscrapers and railways. But when we can only see a month in advance, we pitch tents and we ride bicycles. And I was just thinking, this is where we are at the moment with this uncertainty. People who think they're in the jobs for the long term, jobs are changing, companies are changing. I think that we don't even know where AI is going to land and how it's going to impact. And I meet people, and everybody has a different opinion and an experience. And so I think with that in mind, being super agile and flexible and building a portfolio career can really make you a little bit more resilient going forward.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I think it's really great, but you have to be realistic about what it's going to take and not just think about the outcome, but like, how am I going to get there, and be willing to put in that work, because it's it's a lot and it takes something different. So, I mean,
I yeah.
how do you see it, my dear?
Look, I love the discussion going on in the chat. I know, Sarah, you can't
I
follow,
can't
but
see it. Can I read
yeah,
it later?
yeah, you can
Are people
read it
disagreeing
afterward.
with me?
No, 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 absolutely not at all. There's a separate discussion going on, and very much aligned with what we're discussing about. But the interesting point is it's more about um, truly knowing about who am I,
Mm,
and this is where I genuinely agree. This is even if you're self-employed or in corporate or retired or in primary school, who am I? And I
yeah.
think we don't think and talk about it often enough how
Mm,
important it is to really know yourself, know your values, and define yourself. Who am I? Because when at a networking event someone asks you, hey, who are you? 9 out of 10 times we identify ourselves with the profession or the company
yeah.
or with our experience or with the service we sell. But who are you really? And
What are your values? What do you care
I just
about?
rewatched I just rewatched Devil Wears Prada,
Oh,
and
did you? The first or the second
the
one?
first one, the first one,
Oh,
and there Miranda Priestley goes like, who are you? No, but really, who are you? As the new
I have to
assistant
watch it
walks
again.
into the room, who are you? And she was like, well, this is my name. And I thought, oh, this is really, I think it's critical. I think it's really, really critical for any sort of success and even professional success. I watched very recently, just a couple of
Mhm,
days, it's brand new. Mel Robbins interviewed Sade Zahrai, um, a,
mhm,
a doctor of science who studied confidence and self-trust. She just recently published a book, and she quoted several studies that demonstrated how critical it is for you to have that self identity in order to be successful professionally.
mm.
Because, if you're having a bad day, and let's face it, we all have a bad day once in a while, you go and do a hobby, right? You know who you are, you have your interests and things that you do outside of work, and that helps you to bounce back much faster. That helps you to get new ideas and new ways to look at the same problem the next day differently. And I thought, yeah, there is a lot of truth to it, and so I think this is exactly why it's so important for us to have that self, regardless of how much of that you bring to work or not.
Mm.
I think it's really important to have it, to be successful in every side. And that's why I shared that example in the beginning. I was so distraught when I realized that I cannot unplug from work. I was like, okay, this is bad. This is
This is
really, really bad.
unacceptable, right? But I mean, because there are going to be so many times in your life where how you see yourself is going to be shaken, right? When you get let go, when your startup is not what you want it to be, when you suddenly find yourself with a baby that's torturing you with sleep deprivation, and you haven't, washed your hair in a week, and I mean, these are all the times. And yeah, I mean, for me, it was really good to go back to see what did I do? What did I love to do? When were the moments that I got a lot of joy out of my work? When did I feel like, and that helped me also to think about the work that I love to do. But I mean, your example, I also liked, I wanted to say, because then you give yourself distance from that work. You go do your hobby. So my one is gardening, right? And so when I put my hands in the soil, I see it as like, so my garden's looking quite good at the moment, I have to say. I've had to do a lot of meditation. When I
You want
go out,
you want some more work? I have a lot more work. You can come to mine.
no, I'm still. I mean, if you ask my husband, there's still like some work to go. I would just do one bed at a time. But it helps me to get distance. Sometimes then not thinking about it is also really good, right? And then you do something that you love and that gives you joy in a different way. So, I mean, that's something I've been doing a lot the last couple of months as well, is making time for myself and doing things that are good for me outside. Because, like you say, I also got this shock of like how much I identified with my work and how I need to make sure that I do it in a healthier way. I mean, how's it going for you? Did you manage to? How's the most recent holiday? Have you managed to find a little bit of distance, or are you still
No,
attached? Or
yes. So every following holiday, I managed to do much better, I
okay,
must
so it's a
say.
work in progress, right?
But I also can admit that that it's ups and downs. Admittedly, it's the volume of work. It's the so many other things going on in life.
Yeah.
I have the better times and the worst times. But I think it's it already made a huge difference just realizing and admitting to myself that I need to work on this. This is not
Yeah.
okay. This is not good. It also changed a little bit. It shifted. I don't want to say change. It shifted a little bit the way how I look at work. Um, I started to switch off a little bit earlier at night. I started to distance myself a little bit. I didn't take problems, and this is where vacation helps. I can highly recommend. I really didn't take issues and challenges personally. It's not
Mm,
me. I'm doing my very best, but I cannot save the world. Most of the days I feel like I would like to, but unfortunately, not even me.
yeah. Beavis.
So, I think but I what I see that this happens mostly to people who are the high achievers, who are highly driven, highly interested in the work that they do. It's so easy to lose track when you're having fun, when you really want to do more, you want to learn more, you want to improve the way you do things. It's not hard to really and that's why I'm thinking if I ever become an entrepreneur, I think it's
Mm,
going to swallow me in one go because the moment you work for yourself, you just do 25 hours a day.
yeah.
um
I mean, when you're
so
passionate about it, right? It's like I always say, passion is like the two-edged sword, right? It's what makes you so good at what you do, and like you say, the high achievers, but it also has its downsides, right? So how do we balance that? But I think what you said, even just being aware, and
yeah.
I hope that this experience has been uh, something that's created awareness for me that I will be able to take forward, and I think I will be better for it, in my work going forward. I think that being aware and keeping it balanced and not so closely identifying myself with my role will make me better at my work. I'm
Mm,
convinced. So yeah.
yeah.
So
And something that also is kind of discussed in the chat is the belonging and the community. I think that's where you started. You said, I don't have my colleagues anymore, and a gentleman, I'm sorry, I cannot keep the names. And James said that, oh, I stay in touch with my colleagues.
yeah,
I get their perspective, and I get kind of tea on what's happening, and I share with what I learn on the market. So I think that's fantastic. I think that's fantastic
yeah,
if you can, and if you have that community. I think everybody should. I know for one that I definitely would do a good effort to maintain that because I work with some wonderful wonderful
yeah.
people that I would love to stay in touch also on personal basis. So that I'm very very privileged to have that. And I think it's important. I think it's really important to have that sense that you are with people and the community that
I
matters.
mean, I mean, Donna, I have some lovely colleagues that I have stayed in touch with, and I have a feeling they will be friends for life. So, so there's that side. But, you know, they're working full time. They cannot afford to go for coffees on 3 times a week with me, right? So that interaction, that connection, that community that you have, that you will spend working together every day. I mean, that no matter how much tea you're looking for, it's, I mean, some of that is gone, you know.
Mm,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. And I grieve that a lot. I mean, maybe I care more about connection. That's always my thing, you know. Um, but yeah, yeah, it and it's changed as well a little bit, right?
Mm.
Um, yeah, but it was, yeah. I mean, that's definitely hard, and one thing that I noticed was when I'm working full time, I didn't necessarily make so much time always to meet other people outside my network for coffee or lunches. I would always do it. I would try to make a rule to at least have like 2 of them in a month, but you know, I think I could have done more, but I just was so busy with everything. And I think this would have also been a balance, right? And not to be so like focused on the tribe that I was in, but also make time for the external network in the company and outside the company as well. And actually
Mm.
be more intentional around that. That's something I think I will also change going forward. So, not that I regret any moment spent with my colleagues because, it was wonderful and I've learned a lot from them and I value the friendships that we built as well, and that we continue to have. So, I just didn't
In
want to sound like I do not care about my colleagues anymore.
No, no. But in this journey, Sarah, from your perspective, and if there is people in the room who have someone they care that is going through this reinvention journey, um, from your perspective, what is helpful? What's not helpful? What are people close to you? How can they support you best? And I appreciate this would be probably a little bit personal for each of
Yeah.
us, but for you and from your experience.
Yeah. And I mean, so I have to tell you, like about 2 weeks after I got let go, I was at a dinner party and I was sitting at the table and there was a, a friend of a friend, a man who had been let go at about the same time as me. And he was telling everybody the story of what had happened. And he was regaling everybody at the table with these jokes and we were all laughing, right? And inside I was just crying because I think it's all just the way that we need to cope. We have different ways, right? And this was his way of coping. And my way is to cry and tell everybody with the vulnerability. But I think even if you're making the jokes, I think it still hurts. It hurts a lot when you lose something that you care about. It's a way of providing for your family. So it's also scary as well. Um, and I think what really helps is just to listen and not to try and fix, right? Not to try and silver line it like, oh, this was maybe for the best and maybe it was for the best and maybe I'll get there, but I need to get there on my own. So not to silver line it, really just to listen without always throwing in solutions because this person is just going through this process and they need people. And also not trying to cheer them up, right? And this is something that I find is like really important is like I've had a few specials who have always just like, come back and said like, I can uh, I can hear how you're feeling. This is like you can feel like that. There's nothing wrong with that. And just like allowed me to feel and to share how I feel without being overburdened, without trying to tell me why I'm wrong and why I should be more happy. And I think that really helped me to process it instead of just like denial and trying to push it down and pretend that we're so happy. um and so I think that is really in the beginning like really really helpful. um yeah, so just like just being there for them in that in that process and allowing it. And like a lot of people say, oh, it's not personal. and I know what they mean because it wasn't maybe a personal decision, but it is so personal, right?
Hmm.
So it
Hmm.
is really, really personal for me, right? Because it's my job, my identity, my way of earning, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I know it's so well meant, but that like finds I find that really hard as well.
Mm.
So those are kind of the things that really helped. And then this offer of like, how can I help? What can I do? You know, and if you have something to offer it, whether it's a platform to have a discussion, whether it's an introduction you can make, like those are the little nuggets of like hearts that were passed on to me that like really like I still hold them with me, you know, and they're still accumulating, and that really helps, you know, you feel loved and appreciated, and you know that stays with you a lot. So small
Mm.
things.
Yeah. You know, Sarah, I've in my life I've spoken to a lot of people, either by hiring them or in many different scenarios of people who've overcome, who have returned to work after a break or after a layoff
Yeah,
or after series of layoffs. I've
please
talked to
no.
some amazing people. I mean, life happens, right? So
Right.
so there is, in certain industries in particular these days, you never know, how your career is going to go.
Yeah,
And especially in senior leadership, these things tend to be quite rocky.
yeah,
And the one thing that almost everyone says
yeah,
afterwards, everyone says it's hard, it's challenging, it's, all the things that you said. It comes with grief and it comes with anger, and you need to live through it and all of that. But then after they come out at the other end, everyone says, I'm different. So I'm not anymore the same way, right? So
yeah.
what you were saying, you reinvent yourself. They say it was needed.
Mm,
They say I would not be able, I needed a change, but I did not have the courage or the position to make the decision myself.
yeah,
And a lot of people say, I'm really happy it happened. It sounds just so wrong. When you're there, they say, but a lot of people say, I am so happy I had that kick up my bottom.
yeah,
For whatever other reasons. Maybe they landed even a better job, or maybe they learned something in the process. Maybe they, you know, there's so many different reasons, but I hear this a lot.
yeah,
And every time I need to think to myself, wow, it's interesting how life throws us into places and does things to us that always feel so hard at the time, but afterwards you're like, there was a good reason for that.
yeah. I mean, I love that you just say that, and I agree with you on all those 3 points, right? Um, Even if I haven't like quite worked out why this one. No, I'm joking. I'm learning. I'm excited for what comes next, and I have the gift of time to find it, you know, and to find some more purpose even. But with balance this time, better balance. But yeah, I love that. I mean, you're talking to people like this all the time, right? I mean, you're interviewing. I mean, I think the job market is like really tough at the moment, right? I mean, um what is the difference, Donna? Which are the people that, what is the difference, would you say, to the ones that are getting stuck to the ones that are coming forward? Do you see a difference?
Yes, I think the main difference is those that are getting stuck, they don't take a break to reflect.
Mm,
They don't use the opportunity to zoom out and really think, what do I want to do next? Where can I, you know, they just need to go, 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 go. And I absolutely heard Eduardo's comment earlier on about not everyone has a situation where they can, take a break and go to Mallorca to relax before looking
Well, I
for the next
wasn't at
right job,
Mallorca,
right?
but I realized that we are very privileged here in Switzerland
I didn't
because we
know. I
have.
didn't know you went to Mallorca. It was the
I was
first example.
I was not at Mallorca.
Ah, no, no, no. No, it's just an example, right? To
I was
kind of
at
to
home. I was
to
at home
change.
feeling sorry for myself. I
No,
should have
to
gone to
change the
Mallorca.
scenery. Yeah, of course, it's a privilege to don't
Yeah.
jump into the job search immediately. But I think,
5 days.
whether
Take 5 days then to reflect what you can. Take some time, you know.
yeah, yeah,
I
and
agree
it's
with you.
hard. It's hard, the way I see it. I think it's very hard to really have that conversation with yourself because there's always
Yeah.
things to do at home. There's always things, and it's not the most fun thinking process. So,
No.
if it doesn't work, make lists. Use Copilot to help your thinking process, or
Yeah.
invite for a coffee a series of friends that will help you
Yeah.
to talk you through. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever works, but I think it is important. And for me, I really see that those that don't take the opportunity to take a step back and think, where did I add most value? What did I do that made me enjoy
Yeah.
myself and my job most? What do I really want to do next?
Yeah.
What went well? What didn't go so well? I think it's critical. I really, really
Yeah.
think that's
To make that analysis and then to have the words, because what was so good was for me to also think like, what is the red thread in my career, what is the one thing that I've been doing all the time. And I realized really it's about that change, helping people. But I have to tell you, like, the funny thing for me is also that I don't like change. You would think somebody that like change would be like a fan of change. Not so fan at all. I really run in the other direction. And sometimes change is necessary, and sometimes you cannot avoid it, and sometimes you have to have it so you can grow. And I think that's, why I've loved it so much, because if I can help people through that process, that they can be successful, But I mean, I've known that about myself, but it's kind of reconfirmed, and I went back to like really myself to say, okay, now I can really make sure that I'm going to focus on that, and what form it takes, I still don't know whether I'm going to be employed or if I'm going to be working for myself, you know. Um, uh, and I think it's okay also not to have all the answers. I mean, maybe it would be wonderful if it was super clear. I'm going to do this for this, then. But I mean, sometimes things are unclear. I mean, like, how do you find that? Like, when you're interviewing people, like, how do you find it? Or where people, do you expect them to have clarity, like to know
yes.
exactly? Okay, so tell me a little bit
Yes.
about that.
So when you're a senior leader, and this is
Yeah.
really exclusive for this space, um, you need to have clarity on your abilities, on your skills, on your talents, on your wishes.
Yeah.
And I think I probably should have started with that. On where do you want to get? Where
Yeah.
do you see this job bringing you to? How is
Hmm.
this going to add to your career journey so far? You need
Hmm.
to have that clarity. You need to have that clarity. Who are you? Because how else are you going to lead the people if you don't know who you are, what your strengths are, and what are you great at doing and delivering?
So it's
Because,
really important to go through that process, right? To have that.
it's critical. It really is critical because, when I'm trying to get to know you, I
Mm.
can't see someone who's questioning life's choices, and honestly, sometimes we all go through that journey, and that's okay. That's perfectly healthy. But when you tell me that I want this job, I want to believe you. I
Yeah.
want to ensure that you know exactly that this is the only right choice for you right now. I am realistic not to think that there is not another 15 applications in the process, but at the same time, I want you to influence me, because your job will be to represent your team, represent your company within, externally, internally. I need you to be able to influence me and to sell yourself. I mean, it sounds maybe a little bit off, but in
Yeah.
effect, I want somebody who's able to lead and drive a process.
Yeah. They can convince you about their credibility, right? It's the first one, but not the last one they will need to convince, especially if they're leading an organization.
Yeah. Hey, I'm mindful we're over time. It's
Where
been
are
it's
you?
been it's been so interesting, and like I said, it's such a big topic, and so deep, and so diverse, and we all experience it differently. I think it's just important to acknowledge that it is important. It is something that in one shape or form we all may experience at some point in our lives, and that's why it's so important to build that identity and self throughout your life, and it will change through times, through stages, and different things happening to us, but I think it's really critical to be able to withstand the increased amount of change we're
Yeah.
all facing, professional and personal, and it will absolutely help us to stand strong when the winds are blowing.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're moving towards more and more uncertainty, right? With the global situation, the politics globally, everything, right? And then, like, what does it mean for our jobs and our? I mean, I think it we're building resilience in ourselves as well, though. You know, um, so I think there's that opportunity too that we cannot, you know, like like I said, like I've been here before, I know it, and if it will end well, and if it's not well, it's not ended yet, right? It's still
That's right.
ongoing.
That's right.
Yeah. But
All
I just
right,
think
so I
all the
guess
people out there that are struggling with that, I think, yeah, just be gentle with yourselves and keep that in mind that it's going towards something good in the end, right? It will land there somewhere. So we'll all be fine.
yes, we will be fine. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah. I really
Okay.
appreciate you joining all of us here and sharing your story. And please continue with the comments, reflections, questions. Sarah and I will attend to the chat section afterwards, and the recording will be out there live for everyone to rewatch or share with people that you think that could benefit from discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for everybody. Bye.
Bye.